Hey y'all, just going through some gear, cleaning up, re-rigging. I wanted to share a thought with you. Last year, I probably had one of the most depressing seasons, I guess you could call it, that I've had in a long time. I mean, I will never qualify myself as just a bass fisherman. You know, I mean, I'll fish for any critter that swims. And for whatever reason, I mean, no matter what I tried, bass fishing wise, everything went wrong. I mean, the critters, my best bass trip last year, I was actually looking for bait for another trip for trying to go for gar fishing, and I absolutely wrecked the bass. So I set the camera gear up, went back the next day thinking I was going to have a great bass trip. I caught one, and it just seemed like everything I did went wrong. And I found myself getting more and more frustrated. And I mean, that's not why I fish. You know, I mean, I fish for enjoyment. I fish to be close to creation. I fish to relieve stress, not to create stress. You know, every once in a while I feed the family with what I catch. Most of the time I catch and release. But I mean, I do like a good mess of fish too. So I fish for a lot of reasons, none of which are to be frustrated. And it just was killing me. It's like, man, why? Why are you coming out and then going back and you have more stress than what you had when you left the house? What are you doing wrong? And I got to thinking about all the stuff that I had been doing. You know, instead of just being simple, now I was carrying 5 or 6 rods. And instead of trying to do the stuff, you know, that I enjoyed doing, I was trying to learn, see, you know, things that I had seen other people do or try, or you know, this new bait, oh, I got to have it, it's going to wreck them. And I fall in that same trap just like everybody else. I mean, a lot of times baits are designed more to catch us than they are to catch fish. And I'm very guilty of falling in that trap. I got to have it, you know. And unfortunately, I had gotten away from the joy. I had gotten away from what I know to do best. And I went back and I picked up this. This always stays in the shed. For those of you that don't know what this is, I can't believe it, but this is a cricket bucket. A cricket bucket is where a lot of us had our start, or a bucket of worms, or a bucket of minnows. But for me, a cricket bucket takes me back to my childhood, and there's nothing more satisfying than putting a cricket out underneath the cork, watching that cork stand up, start to wiggle and go under, and then setting the hook. And this was a salvation for me, because it rescued my joy. And it took a few trips of just getting back to the basics, you know, this, or chunking a rooster tail, or something fun, you know, for fly rodders, you know, would be throwing a little yellow popper and just chasing literally whatever will hit it. A lot of times it's a 3-finger brim, and a 3-finger brim on a 3-weight rod will put a big old smile on your face, and that's what I was missing, was that joy. But you know, the same thing happens to us in our church life, you know, and in our walk with Christ. I mean, you know, there's times that we'll get just so sideways, and somebody will want to argue about something, and none of it means a hill of beans. None of it really, truthfully matters. And if you look back, it's in Matthew 22, and folks are talking to Jesus, and they're like, you know, what's the greatest commandment? And he says, you know, basically the answer is, you know, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. You know, and he says, you know, this is the greatest commandment. He said, and the second one, you know, basically has a lot of weight too, and it's love your neighbor as you love yourself. Guys, that is the cricket bucket of the Christian faith. That's as basic as it comes. Love God, love your neighbor. Why do we make that so difficult? Why do we let the devil steal our joy when we try to do every and all and anything, and we get our mind and our eyes and our hearts off the one true goal? We need to pick up our cricket buckets again. Let's love God, let's love each other, and let's get our joy back. Y'all take care. I hope this helps. I'm going fishing.